Hey guys, it is Carl Brown for Guitarists365.com. Have a fun one for you today. We'll learn how to play Electric Eye by Judas Priest. So we have got a great guitar workout here with Glenn Tipton, KK Downing. Really great riffs that are really challenging to play, and then obviously Glenn Tipton solo, which is just insane. So we're going to dive all into it. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring the little notification bell, of course, so you know when I release a new video. And at least that's what YouTube tells me. And also make sure notifications are enabled on your app, on your phone, so you can actually get those notifications. Check out my Guitar Academy too. It's at Guitarists365.com. It's a great community to get over there. It's all my guitar courses, a lot of technique, guitar tone, improvisation, ear training. You name it, I got it. All right, so let's get to the song. We're in standard tuning here. So also, I do want to say thank you to all the people who have joined this channel. I appreciate the support, supporting these free YouTube lessons that I keep putting up. So anyway, if you haven't done that yet, click the join button. It doesn't cost a lot, but it helps out a lot. So let's start here. Standard tuning here. We're going to start with this intro, this main riff. All right, so we're going to start up here on the E power chord of the 7th fret of the A string. So 7 there, 9 on the D, hit the open E string with it too. Slide that down, and then we're going to kind of get into the main part of the riff. So we're going to start with a low E string. Then you're going to play those notes, but you're going to keep going back and hitting the low E between each one. So it's like 2, 4, 5 on the D. So after that 5 note, you're going to change to the next, what would be the bass note. So that's going to go to the 3rd fret of the A. So we start here, this power chord, then the low E open, then 2, the low E, 4 on the D, low E, and then 5, and then you're going to transition to holding the next bass note, which is the 3rd fret there, the A, so it is. Then what we're going to do is pretty much the same pattern, but anything that was the open low E string is now going to be the 3rd fret. So you're going to letting that ring for a second, and then you're going to hit it again to start the riff, then 2, back to that 3, then 4 on the D string, back to the 3, to the 5. And that's going to go with an A power chord after that, so it is. And then from the A, kind of the same treatment there, hit the A, and then pick the open A string, 2, 0, 4, to the 5. So it is. And then we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to go to this B chord. And that's going to, so you hit that B power chord at the 2nd fret of the A string. And then you're going to pick that 2 on the A string there. 4, now you're not going to go 2, 4, 5. You're going to go 4, 5, 4. 4, back to the bass note, 5 on the D, back to the bass note, and then just end on that 4. So all together. Right there, you're going to start over. All right, so it's a pretty intense riff to get it down. I'm doing all downstrokes like they do it. All right, so now into this riff, which is pretty much half of the verse here. It's really the second half of the verse, a little bit later on. So we'll go ahead and learn that. It's kind of part of the intro here, though. So a lot of just kind of strict. You're making some accents on the chords, which you're keeping the low E there, on the muted on the low E string. All right, so I probably shouldn't have to. I don't have to tell you that if you're learning this song. And then you're going to come back to the 5th fret. So far with this. So now the second ending is going to be. So that's going to be a power chord off the 5th fret of the low E string. Gotta slide up 2 frets and back down real quick. Down to 3, and then back to that E to start over. So we have this. Start over. So the second time through, when you do this, that is gonna go. You're gonna do this instead of jumping back to the E. You're going to go to the A power chord, and that's when the actual verse starts. So the verse altogether sounds like this. Takes us into the pre-chorus. So we're going to start with this A power chord. So I'm just doing that now. It's not a low E, it's on the open A string. And then you're going to hear, and that's just the open D and G together a couple times. So you got to keep going back to that A string. So from there, you go from those open D and G strings to the second half of the verse now, which is what we learned earlier. All right, so after you've done that, that part right there goes to the pre-chorus, which looks like this. All right, so it's a little bit different, not as intense. So we have. So we start just like we did the beginning of the track. So here, instead of going to the B, we're going to the D power chord. So that's the open D string and the second fret there on the G. And then play 4 to the open D, 5 to the open D, 4 to the open D, and then to that B power chord finally. So we have this for the pre-chorus. And then after that B power chord, you're going to move up here to kind of do an inversion of it at a higher. So you're sliding into the 11th fret on the G and then the 12th fret on the B. So holding. All right, then we get to the chorus, which looks like this. All right, so that's pretty simple stuff. We're going to start with the 2nd fret on the G string here and the 3rd fret on the B. That goes to an A major chord, so you just want to play really just the 2nd fret across the D, G, and the B. Then you're going to take those same 3 strings and then open for a G chord, and then come up here to the E power chord off the 7th fret of the A string. And then go down 2 frets to the D. So we have this. And then when you repeat, just do those first 3 chords. Repeat. From there, it just starts right back on the A. Just kind of go through the verse the same way. And then the same pre-chorus, the same chorus, and then we get to the guitar solo. All right, so before we do the guitar solo, we'll do KK Downing's rhythm guitar parts. So that sounds like this. All right, so just all power chords here. We're going to be starting here with the, kind of let that ring out when he's doing that little, when Glenn Tipton is doing that. So 2nd fret power chord is B power chord off the A string. And then we're up to the E power chord, down to D, and then back to the E. Then back to the D, C. So it is. After you get to C, then you're going to go over to the G power chord a couple times on the low E string, the 3rd fret of the low E, to that open E power chord. So it is. And repeat that. All right, from there, we're going to go to the so that's the B power chord of the 7th fret of the low E string. Down to 5, back to 7, 5, 3, 5, 7. So it is. Repeat. All right, from there we go to the C power chord, to the A, back to the C, then the B, up to the D power chord, 5th fret, and then that right there takes us back to that little main riff that we did earlier in the song, after the solo. All right, so now let's take a look at Glenn Tipton's solo. I'll play through the whole thing for you real quick, and then we'll check it out phrase by phrase. All right, so that has got really Glenn Tipton has kind of thrown everything in the kitchen sink at us in that solo. So we have got our work cut out for us here. All right, so let's start here with this. When it first comes in, we have this kind of a little kind of repetitive. Just kind of we're gonna take it up, you know, chromatically. So what that's going to do is it's going to start on the 12th fret of the B string. You're going to play that note, hammer on 15, pull back off to 12, then over to 14 on the G. So that's the actual lick. So it's just a 4-note lick. And then just move it up a fret each time. So an easy way to pick that is when you just pick with all downstrokes really. So down, down, down. So it's kind of like a mini sweep across the strings to start the next pattern over. So after you get up to like the, you know, the, what is that, the 19th fret? He has some really big bends with some huge vibrato. It's a 2.5 step bends there. So it's at the 20th fret there. I mean 22nd fret on the G string. So we got. All right, and then we have this next lick. All right, that's pretty quick. So we're gonna start with a bend and release at the 15th fret on the high E string. Then you're gonna play 12 on the high E, then pull off 15 to 12 on the B. And then you're gonna go back to the 15 on the high E, pull off 15, 12 on the high E, and 15, 12 on the B. So. And then 14, 12 on the G. You can pick some of these too. It sounds good to pick them too, so just whatever you want to do. So we have this. Don't do that. So we've made it there. Then what you're going to do is go back to that 14 and do a bend and release. Pull off to 12. Pull off 14, 12 on the D string. 14 on the A, and then E, the E note, the 12th fret on the low E. So we have this. All right, so that one's pretty cool, but the next one's my favorite lick of the entire solo. Looks like this. All right, so that's got some really cool kind of, it goes from like blues scales to diminished stuff. It's just really cool. So we're gonna start here at the 17th fret on the high E string. So 17, then 15, pull off to 14, over to 17 on the B string. Then you pick 14 on the high E again and slide down to 12. So we have this. Then you're going to play 15, 12 on the B. So it's a good place to stop. It's kind of just the beginning of it. All right, now we're going to be based around the 12th fret for a couple of licks. This first one. So we're going to start here with a quick little trill between just a quick hammer pull. 12 to 15, pull back up to 12. Over to 15 on the B string, and then back to that 12 on the high E, and then 15, 12 on the B. Play this. All right, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna play out of the blues scale here. We're gonna play. We're just gonna pulling off 15 to 12 on the B, over to 15 on the G, back to that 12 on the B string, and then pull off 15 to 12 on the G. So we have this. So slower. Now here's where it gets interesting. So that just got, just went to another universe there. So we're gonna start, so after you've done this, you're gonna back it up here now, pull off 14 to 11 on the B string, to 12 on the G, back to that 11 on the B string. And then you're gonna pull off 12 to 9 on the G. So we have that. And then from there, you're going to pull off 12 to 9 again. Over to 12 on the D. Back to that 9 on the G string. And then this time, you're going to pull off 11 to 9 on the D. So he's just grabbing notes from everywhere here. So we have this. All right, and then we're going to end this by going back to the 12 on the D, 12 to 9 on the D, pull off, over to 12 on the A, back to that 9 on the D string, and then what you're going to do is you're going to pull off 10 to 9 on the A, over to the E on the low E string. So we have this all together. All right, so that goes by so fast in the song. I know most time when I see kind of people do covers and stuff with this, they don't have that part exactly right. They kind of just do it as like a blues thing all the way down, but it's actually not. So we have this. And as it gets a little bit quicker, the kind of difference of it really sounds cool. All right, and then we get to the next phrase. All right, easy enough. We're way up here at the 21st fret on the G string. Start it with a bend there, and then we're gonna do that lick that we did earlier. To begin the solo, we're going to do it at the 19th fret here, hammering on 22, pull back off to 19, and then over to that 21st fret on the G. So you're just going to repeat that into a bend there on the 22nd fret of the B string. And then we have this. Now that part of the solo, he doesn't play very distinctly, so when you see him play it live, he's not really kind of repeating the way he did on the album. And on the album, all the notes kind of just jumbled up a little bit. I could show you kind of what he's doing exactly, but it doesn't make a lot of sense really. What he's just really going for is he's kind of using the notes here. And the way I think you're going to get the most out of this lick, most like it, is just to pick as fast as you can across 14, 15, 17 on the A and the low E string. And then 14, 16, 17 on the D, and you're going to end it 14, 16 on the G. So kind of like this. It's kind of just do whatever you want with those notes. And that's what I did when I did it at the beginning. There is a little bit, you know, if you wanted to get exactly note for note of what he's doing, he actually starts going 14, 15, 17, and then plays 16 on the low E string. And then he plays 17 on the low E. So kind of think of it as 4-note groups. So we had that first 4 note. And then 17 on the low E, 14, 15 on the A, back to that 17 on the low E. So we kind of have this so far. All right, and then after that, you can kind of start going straight up. The notes really get kind of, you know, lost after this point. So we have the, you can go 14, 15, 17, over to 14 on the D string. And then from there, just, he's just trying to make it to this note. And he's just going, doing whatever he wants around that little shape. All right, so that's my take on it. You don't, I mean, you can get it exactly like you did, but you know, it's not one of those riffs. It's kind of like one of those just going for it riffs. All right, then we have the little tapping part, which sounds like this. All right, so that little tapping part is you're gonna be tapping. So you're just gonna hammer 14, 17, and pull back off to 14. And then you start to tap. You're gonna be doing the tap at the 19th fret. So after you get to that tap there, that's the tapping pattern. So it's the tapping 19, you're gonna pull off to 14, hammer 17, and pull back off to 14. So what he does is he changes the notes in the left hand. He's still just keeping the tap at the 19. But instead of doing the notes in just 14, 17 in the left hand, every other time he'll do it at the 16th fret, 14, 16. So it goes like this. So he only goes through them a couple of times. And then he's gonna move this note up to the 22nd fret, the tap. And then when he does that, you're just gonna keep doing 14, 17 a couple of times in the left hand. So we're gonna have a... All right, and then we have that little, you hear this little, it kind of slides probably both fingers up the string a little bit. Creates a quick little slide up and then you go back to tapping at the 22nd fret, and then the hammer-ons now are, the left hand is gonna be, the notes will be 17 and 19. So you kind of have this. Gotta hear that little note in there, I missed it. And all right, and then from there we go. It's up here, kind of like a bluesy thing. The 19th fret, hammer on 22, back up to 19. Over to 22 on the B, and back to that 19. Then you're gonna pull off 22 to 21 and 19. Over to 22 on the G string, back to that 19, and then to a bend there at the 22nd fret, pick, and do the bend again. So we have this. So right there, you gotta do it. It's just really kind of like a blues type thing. You can do really anything there. After you do this little 22, 19, you might want to go back and pull off 22 to 19 again. So we have this. All right, next phrase. All right, so we will talk about that last lick there. That's another one of those that are kind of not really distinct on the album. So you're gonna slide into the 9th fret on the G, and then play 7, 8, 10 on the B string, then 8, 7, 8. So it is. Then you're gonna do a quick little pull off from 8 to 7 on the B into a whole step bend and release at the 9th fret there on the G string. Now start that melody again. And then just play 9, 8 on the G string. And here we have that fast lick that comes up, really heavily palm muted. Like I said, you can hear some of the notes pop out, and some of them are just kind of not so much. So the actual notes he's playing, though, look like this. So let me slow that down. It starts like heavy palm muting here until we get really to the top there. We're going to have the open A string is going to start it. And then play 2, 3, 5 on the A string. So I kind of start with an upstroke. And then we have 2, 4, 5 on the D string, and then play 2, 4 on the G. All right, so try to alternate pick those, and then we're going to jump up here and play 6, 7, 9 on the A to 5, 7, 9 on the D. On the recording, really the only notes you hear are these first 3, and then those 7 and 9. Okay, and then it kind of just disappeared. And the next ones you can kind of really make out are 7, 8, 10 on the B string, then 7, 8, 10 on the high E string, up to that 12 and slide it down. So he's not strict alternate picking it. You can kind of hear he's kind of hammering onto, especially at the very end there. So you might want a legato, just those last 2 strings. All right, so that's kind of a crazy ending. So slower. All right, and then it goes into the kind of the same riff that we did in the intro there. All right, so now after that intro riff, we have the little bridge section, which starts with this opening riff. So that's going to start with the kind of double stops here at the 7th fret of the D string and the G together. And you're going to keep going back and hit the open A string. So, and then it's the double stops off the 5th fret of the D and the G. So you did that a couple times. So like hitting that open A string a couple times between each one. And then what you're just going to pull off those 2 7s to the 5s. And then pick them again, pick those 5s, hammer back on. All right, so you do that a little bit, and then it goes into this next little riff. All right, so we're gonna start with just kind of those doubles, open A, then to those 7 double stops, then the 5, and slide down to 4. And then over to the 7s on the A and the D. So with this. And then the 5s on the D and the G to the 7s on the D and the G, and hold those. You can use a couple fingers if you want for those notes and to put some vibrato on it easier. So like this. You know, I'm still hitting the open A a lot in there. Then we started again, but it's a little bit different ending. And that's just that instead of going, just have 5, 7, 5. So. Repeat. All right, from there we have, it goes to B, and it looks like this. And that would take us to that pre-chorus again. So those going to start here with the 4th fret of the D and the G together. And then you're going to hammer you're going to play the double stop now, the 2nd fret of the D and the G. Hammer on those 4s again. Play them again. So over to a D power chord, which is the open D string, 2nd fret on the G, and then a 3rd fret on the B. So we have this. And then do that hammer on again, the 2 to the 4s. So we have this. Then play the 4s together, then the 2s, then 4s off the A and the D, and then back to the 2nd fret of the D and the G, and then back to the 4s of the D and the G. So we have this. And then we gotta just start over with a hammer on now between the 2 and the 4s. So it's just the same thing, except the first time we played it, we didn't do the hammer on, but we're gonna do both hammer-ons the second time around. Now when we get down to the second time we're playing the riff, when we get down to the 4s that are on the A and the D string, we go into the pre-chorus riff. All right, and that takes us into the chorus again at the end of the track. This is kind of similar, except at the very end they change it up a little bit. So we have this. You know, for most of the chorus, and then at the end of the song you're going to see this. So one guitarist will be doing that. So that's, after that part right there, you can now play that chord again, and then over the 5th fret of the low E string, and then 3rd fret power chord, open E, then back up to the D power chord, down to the G again, and the E. So we have this. So that is traced in different chord voicings by the second guitar. So instead of now I'm going to chase that. We're going to go. So that down here is going to be this. So that's going to be that D chord to the A, the open G string, the the open G chord with the open D, G, and the B to an E chord real quick, and then we're going to end it with this. When they're doing, the other guitar player's doing that, that's a D, G, E. We're just going to do this. That D, the open Gs, and then the E power chord. So it's kind of down here, we have this. And that will go with this. And that will go with this. All right, so that is a marathon. Got some challenging stuff in a very fast song. Got some really challenging riffs and solos. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.